Hi everybody, welcome back to Small Caliber Arms Review. I'm Richard. Today we're going to be taking a look at another old one here. This is a Ruger P95. Now the P series guns were made from 1985 to 2013, and they started out to be kind of a replacement for the 1911 in military use. So the 95 is, appropriate for the year anyways. It was released in 96, designed in 1995. And this one unfortunately suffered from the assault weapons ban, which took the normally 15 round capacity P-series pistols and kind of modified the magazine to only hold 10 rounds in it. There are some aftermarket ones available now since the 1994 assault weapons ban kind of went away. It's kind of a big, bulky pistol. It's very well made. Like I said, they were supposed to be for military trials, and there were civilian versions made, and this is a civilian version one. Now this is the P95DC, and the DC stands for decocker. It has an ambidextrous decocking lever on the top of it. It is empty in the chamber. The magazine is empty, so it does have last round hold open on it. But if we release that, you can see the hammer is cocked on there. The safety decocker on here, like I said, is ambidextrous, so you can just pull that down and it decocks it. It pulls the firing pin out of the way and rolls a little cam up in there so that the hammer never actually contacts the firing pin. Let's take a little closer look at this thing. Okay, here's a little closer look at the P95DC. It does have ambidextrous decocking lever right there. It does have an ambidextrous magazine release, but this one's kind of odd. It doesn't push into either side. You actually have to push it forward. So you can grab it with both fingers, or you can just do it with one and it will release it. It is a little difficult to get with my thumb over there, I feel anyways, at least if I've got a good solid grip on it. But I have noticed that if I use my trigger finger, I can push it forward and it pops right out, or get both fingers on it and push it forward and it pops right out. Takedown on this gun, we'll take the magazine out. Like I said, it is already unloaded, and what we're going to do is we're going to pull it back, lock the slide back on it, and on the inside here there's a little tab right there. You're going to have to get your finger on that tab. See if I can get a good shot of it anyways. You can see that little tab sticking out right there. You're going to have to take and push that down. So we'll push that down out of the way. It'll you'll feel a little click when it goes all the way down in there. And now that we've got that in there, what we're going to do is we're going to release the slide. And there is a small line right here on the edge of the grip. There's also a small line right there on the slide. We got to get those two lined up, and you're going to have to push against the hammer there because the hammer's not going to stay back. Kind of hard to do this on camera, but I'm going to take and pull that back till those two lines line up, which is going to be right there. And then your takedown lever right there, or your slide catch, there's a little button on the back side of it there. We're going to go ahead and push that forward, and then we'll grab that and pull it out. Make sure your lines are lined up. There it is. We got that out of there. Now we can let the slide go forward and pull it right off the front. Now this is a completely polymer frame. there's your rails that your slide is going to run on. There is no metal in this one. The older versions, the P95s I think it was, they had stainless steel inserts in there. All your components on the inside are stainless. I don't think your magazine piece there is. The hammer is stainless. The trigger is stainless. I mean, they were made for military use, so they wanted to make them out of materials that were going to last a while. There's a lot of machining that went on these things. Actually, there was a lot of investment casting that went on with these things. We'll take the recoil spring and guide rod out. It is a captive unit. It's a double recoil spring on there. And this was investment cast parts here, which is a lot of times they make them out of wax, and then they put them in this investment, almost like a plaster or ceramic, and they'll put them, a bunch of these together on a tree. They'll pour them in a, can't remember what you call the little piece there, but anyways, then they'll melt the wax out and then they'll cast the metal in there. So there's not a lot of machining to do on these parts. When they come out, they're pretty much ready to go. You can see there's a little machining done right there on the top. There might have been some filing or something fitting done onto it to get it to function properly. But your barrel is stainless also, and that's going to come right on out, just like nearly every other semi-auto pistol is going to do. 9x19 millimeter, that is your standard 9mm round there. This was probably a forged barrel with the rest of it machined there, because there's kind of a rough texture on there. You can see a seam right in the middle of it there. This could have also been investment cast for the barrel itself. So they do cast stainless steel. The feed ramp on it is pretty nice. It's pretty smooth, and I'm pretty sure this is all factory stuff on here. This one's a little dirty. This is a loaner gun, so it's not mine, but the owner loaned it to me so I could do a review on it, and he wants me to check it out for accuracy. He said it's shoots a little wild. Reassembly is the same. I'll show you a little bit closer in here. Everything else is pretty much like your standard semi-auto loading pistol on there with the decocker on it. And you can see in the back here, maybe if I can get a good shot of it, it will pull the firing pin back inside there, and that hammer will not be able to contact it when it decocks it. But when you pull that down, it will release the hammer and pull the firing pin back. 3-dot sight system on it, and they are not highly visible. You can see them on there. They're kind of small dots. The rear sight is drift adjustable. You've got a little Allen screw in there, so you can loosen that up and move that to side. Your front sight has no adjustment on it. It is pinned to the top of the slide there with 2 pins. And the bluing on this, you can see it's kind of I don't know, kind of a brownish instead of the traditional black or dark blue, they call it. You can see right there it says decock only for that lever. So there is no manual locking type safety on this thing. Reassembly now, we're just going to take the barrel, drop it right back down in there, and the recoil spring and guide rod is going to push right in the front there and push back just a little bit. Let me take this out and show it to you. I'll show you a little bit closer view on this. Normally your guide rod is just going to have a flat piece on the end and it goes up against the lug there. This one's going to be just a little bit different. It's going to hook right there. So that's the way it catches on there. It doesn't go all the way back here or anything. Now this is a tilting barrel similar to the 1911, so when it does eject around, the barrel is going to tilt downward in the back just a little bit to help load into the chamber there, your next round. We're going to get it put back together. It's not a lot of pressure on the recoil spring there. Just push it back a little bit, hooks right on there. Go ahead and take your slide and put it back on the frame. You're going to have to get those 2 lines lined up again. Like I said, they're a little tricky to hold it there, at least in the camera it is. And then we'll get our takedown lever put back in there, and as long as you got those lines lined up, it's going to click right back into place. Now your hammer will not stay back now, because that piece that we pushed down in there for the magazine is keeping that from happening. So you can take your magazine, push it right back up in there, and then it'll stay up because the magazine will push that piece back up in there. And then it's ready to go. We're going to take this thing apart one more time, get it all cleaned up, and then we'll get it out on the range and give it a few shots and see how it does. All right, everybody, we're out here on the range with the Ruger P95DC. Like I said, it's kind of a big, chunky, was supposed to be a replacement for the 1911 for military use, and this is a civilian version of it. The DC is decocker only on there. It is unloaded right now, but I've got a box of Blazer brass out here, 9mm. These are 115 grain full metal jackets, and the first thing we're going to do after we get it loaded up is we're going to take some shots from the Caldwell matrix here, and we're going to do some accuracy shots. We'll take 5 shots at I've got one of these little small NRA targets up there we'll check it for accuracy and see how it does. And one of the things I did notice is that my magazine loader for the P95 XL magazine fits this thing pretty nicely, and we'll get this thing loaded up. We're going to put 10 rounds in it and take 5 shots from 10 yards. Okay, you might want to put your first round in there by hand because the slant of the follower in there is pretty steep, and then you can go ahead and put your magazine loader on there and just pop them in one at a time, push them back, push them down, and push on. All right, there should be my 10 rounds in there, and like I said, these would have been a 15-round magazine, but they've modified it here for the assault weapons ban so that it will only hold 10. All right, I've got my magazine loaded. We'll go ahead and get it in the firearm. We'll go ahead and chamber around, and we'll see how this thing does. 10 yards, 5 shots, little target up front there. Okay, there's my 5 shots. We're going to go ahead and use the decocker, and it did not go off, which is a plus, and we'll go up there and take a closer look at it. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not a terrible group. Took a little bit of time with it, concentrating on the target there. Only got one of them on the outside of the black there. Let's go ahead and take some offhand center mass shots here on the silhouette target and see how it does. All right, now I've got 5 more rounds in there. I did use the decocker, so there is one in the chamber right now. So this is either double action or single action. So I can go ahead and cock the hammer now and take my next 5 shots there. Center mass at the silhouette target. The trigger on this thing is not too terrible either. It's got kind of a long take up, especially in double action, but single action, it's not bad at all. All right, there's my 5 shots, offhand, center mass, and it is last round hold open on there, so it's ready to go. All I got to do is, if I had another magazine, I'd slap it in there and pull it back, release it, and let it go. But I only got one. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one and that one. That was actually my first 2 shots right there, and they did great. And then I kind of got excited and pulled them a little bit. But still, that's not terrible. And this gun, being kind of big and chunky and heavy, is really soft on the recoil. And with a decent trigger on it, soft recoil, you're able to get on your target pretty good. And this thing shoots pretty good too. Let's load up 10 more rounds and we'll go for the steel target over there. All right, there's my steel target right up there at 15 yards away. So I've got 10 more rounds loaded up in the magazine. We're gonna go ahead and give this thing a try and see how it does at a little extended ranges. Not too bad on the steel target at 15 yards either. All right, guys, there it is. Thanks for checking out the Ruger P95DC with me. It's kind of a bulky, chunky gun, but that kind of lends to the soft shooting, the not so harsh recoil on it anyways. It fits the hand pretty good. The trigger on it, although I didn't do a trigger pull on it or anything, I didn't even fire it in double action, it's still a pretty nice shooting gun. It really is. It's soft on the recoil and it's comfortable in the hand, although if you got smaller hands, it might not be the one for you. I'm not a big fan of the magazine release on it. It's not terrible. It's just not my favorite anyways. I kind of like them used to the button on the side there. I do like the slide catch on there. The slide catch is also a slide release. So it's big, it's easy to access, so you can just take it, go ahead and release it with your thumb and then you're ready to go. The decocker, I kind of like that. I like that it doesn't have a manual safety on it because I really, if I'm going to conceal carry one, I really don't want a manual safety on it. The nice thing about this is you can carry it just like this with one in the chamber. The hammer is not cocked, and being double action, you can pull it out and go ahead and pull the trigger. The trigger on double action is going to be a little heavier, a little longer and all that, but it's not terrible either way. The single action trigger on it is really nice, and the reset on it is also not terrible. It might be a little bit long, but you definitely hear it. And then the take up on that is really short and it's ready to go. Not a bad little gun. If you want to get one of these, you're not going to find a new one because I think they discontinued them in like 2013, 14, whatever I said in there. You're going to have to look for a used one, but they're not a bad choice. They were very well built because they were built for military trials, and not a bad choice for a gun. Anyways, if you could, hit this button up here to check out some of my other videos. Hit this button right here to subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks for taking a look at the Ruger P95DC with me.